There are gifts we receive as children that outlive the people who gave them. Objects that weigh more than they should not because of steel or wood, but because they carry the soul of someone who's gone. My grandfather's pocket knife was one of those gifts. It wasn't just a tool. It was a tether to a man, a memory, and to a version of myself I thought I had lost forever. When grandfather passed, grandmother handed me a strange, magnificent knife, a kind of primitive Swiss Army version, but without the shine and polish. It wasn't red or sleek or modern. It looked like a grey lobster rolled through blades, saws, and decades of stories. And it held everything. A spoon, a fork, scissors, saws, tools for a world I had yet to understand. It came with a thick leather sheath, made to sit on a belt. But that leather strap meant to hold a legacy would betray me. As a 9-year-old boy, receiving that knife was like being handed an inheritance too big to carry. It didn't feel like a gift, it felt like a torch. I strapped it on like armor, it buzzed in my hand. My body felt too small for the weight, yet somehow the moment made me big enough. Bigger than time, bigger than boyhood, and so I ran through the woods, loud as joy itself, louder than squirrels, louder than wind. I screamed and crashed and celebrated the weight on my hip. I checked on it constantly, touched it like a new father checking his child's breath, until one moment it was gone. The strap had come undone, and in that moment more than if he lost something else, something deeper. I stopped, froze, reality stared back and whispered one word, lost. And that's exactly what I was. The boy with the knife was gone. In his place was a trembling, hollow echo, but something inside me, some leftover spark of that boy chose to move, to search, to believe that the knife, and everything it meant, could still be found. So I did what grieving children do. I spiraled through fields, forests, swamps, up trees, down hills. I humped. The spiral became years, then decades. That kind of loss doesn't fade. It becomes a shape inside you, a corkscrew twist in the soul. Something missing, lodged in time. And then came the moment I had to confess. Mum brought me to grandmother. My breath collapsed. My lips gave birth to one brutal truth. I lost the knife, grandfather's knife. But she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She hugged me, and I cried. Because I wasn't ready for grace. Because love, that big bird. 34 years passed. 34 years of empty sheaths and full regret. Of pretending the loss didn't still live in me like an ember. And then, last Saturday, in an antique store in Portersville, PA, it happened. Amid buckets of old blades and forgotten stories, a shape, a ghost, a whisper from my childhood, I moved toward it, touched the rust, the bulk, the fork, the spoon, the weight. It couldn't be, but it was. Or close enough to pretend. And sometimes pretend is a doorway to belief. My son asked, "What's that?" I told him the story, the gift, the loss, the hunt, and he said, "Maybe it's the same one." I chose to believe it, because hope needs less evidence than we think. Back home, I searched to got that final piece. I tore through the house, whispering curses and prayers. And then, days later, in the folds behind old books, I found it. Leather, buckle, home. And when I placed that knife back in its cradle, the world paused. A broken loop was stitched, a wound kissed shut. I turned, wanting to show grandmother, but she wasn't there. She's been gone for years, yet her hug remains. Her love still breathes in my memory. And I like to think that if I could walk the spiral backwards, down the corkscrew of time, I'd find her again.